Willie, thanks a lot. That was very inspirational. It's awesome. Can I have a short video? Thank you. I have a short video I need us to watch, and then let's talk a little bit about technology. I'm not going to give you solutions. I'm simply going to provoke you to think about what are essential conditions that are necessary for any school to truly integrate technology, right? This is a young kid, and we have a lot of these in our school.
And I made a few apps for the iPhone, iPod Touch, and iPad. I'd like to share a couple with you today. My first app was a unique fortune teller called Earth Fortune that would display different colors of Earth depending on what your fortune was. My favorite and most successful app is Bustin' Jeeber, which is a Justin Bieber whack-a-mole. I created it because a lot of people at school disliked Justin Bieber a little bit, so I decided to make the app. So I went to work programming it, and I released it just before the holidays in 2010. A lot of people asked me, how did I make these? A lot of times it's because the person who asked the question wants to make an app also. A lot of kids these days like to play games, but now they want to make them. And it's difficult because not many kids know where to go to find out how to make a program. I mean, for soccer, you could go to a soccer team. For violin, you could get lessons for a violin. But what if you want to make an app? And the kids' parents might have done some of these things when they were young, but not many parents have written apps. Where do you go to find out how to make an app? Well, this is how I approached it. This is what I did. First of all, I've been programming in multiple other programming languages to get the basics down, such as Python, C, Java, etc. And then Apple released the iPhone, and with it, the iPhone Software Development Kit. And the Software Development Kit is a suite of tools for creating and programming an iPhone app. This opened up a whole new world of possibilities for me. And after playing with the Software Development Kit a little bit, I made a couple apps. I made some test apps. One of them happened to be Earth Fortune, and I was ready to put Earth Fortune on the App Store, and so I persuaded my parents to pay the $99 fee to be able to put my apps on the App Store. They agreed, and now I have apps on the App Store. I've gotten a lot of interest and encouragement from my family, friends, teachers, and even people at the Apple Store, and that's been a huge help to me. I've got a lot of inspiration from Steve Jobs. And I started an app club at school, and a teacher at my school is kindly sponsoring my app club. Any student at my school can come and learn how to design an app. This is so I can share my experiences with others. There's these programs called the iPad Pilot Program, and some districts have them. I'm fortunate enough to be part of one. A big challenge is, how should the iPads be used, and what apps should we put on the iPads? So we're getting feedback from teachers at the school to see what kind of apps they'd like. When we design the app and we sell it, it will be free to local districts and other districts that we sell to. All the money from that will go into the local ed foundations. These days, students usually know a little bit more than teachers with the technology. So, sorry. So this is a resource to teachers, and educators should recognize this resource and make good use of it. I'd like to finish up by saying what I'd like to do in the future. First of all, I'd like to create more apps, more games. I'm working with a third-party company to make an app. I'd like to get into Android programming and development. And I'd like to continue my app club and find other ways for students to share knowledge with others. Thank you.
This young man was 12 years old in 2011, and I'm assuming that he's probably running his own company by now, because that's really the direction of where this generation is headed. And we've got several young men like this, young boys and girls like this in our schools. Let me give you a bit of a context before I talk about the essential conditions. At the American School of Bombay, we've been a one-to-one program since 2001. So it's been about 15 years that we've been using technology integrated throughout our program. Every kid from grade 1 to grade 12 has a laptop. Every kid from grade 4 to grade 12 is required to bring their own laptop. So we don't provide it. From grade 1 to 3, we provide the laptops in the classroom for every child. We don't use iPads except in kindergarten and preschool, because we've run our prototypes and run some tests, and the kinds of things you can do with iPads are not doable. The kinds of things you can do with laptops are not possible with an iPad. And so we found that as a supplementary device and not really a production device for ourselves. So for us, laptops are still the best until the technology giants stop fighting with each other and actually produce a convertible machine that we can actually truly use as both an iPad and a laptop. We also are, every teacher in the school is part of our BYOD program, so bring your own laptop. So everybody who comes into the school automatically knows they're coming into a school where you're required to be trained, you're expected to be trained in how to use technology. And not just use the technology, but actually to integrate it. It's about the pedagogy. It's the shift that happens in the pedagogy. It's not about the tools. Learning the tools are very easy. If you don't know how to use a tool in the classroom, like that young man said, there's a ton of students in the classroom who can help you use the tool. But how you use the technology, what does the classroom management look like? How does the assessment change in the classroom? Those are massive conversations. It takes about 3 to 5 years, I would say, for a teacher to truly understand how to integrate technology. It is not something you can put in the classroom and expect a miracle to happen within a year. 3 to 5 years is something I've observed in my career is an ideal lifespan. Our teachers and our students stay with us between 3 to 5 years. So that gives you an idea of how quickly change happens at our school. With our transient population, we have a very intensive teacher development program, and it's ongoing teacher development. An extremely important, another part of our essential condition. And I'll go through those in a minute. The other thing that we do a lot of is we have what are called ISTE standards. And this is one of the things that I've found lacking amongst Indian schools, is literally the technology standards that you want to live up to. And actually having a common standard that can go across all the schools. And then again, that's a conversation that we could probably start in a future forum of some kind. And those standards have really helped us in the last 15 years to make sure that everybody is meeting those standards. So if a teacher arrives on July 30th, school opens August 11th, they have to hit the ground running. And so you're not learning just the tools, you're talking about classroom management, you're talking about the pedagogy changes, etc. We've got a bunch of standards and a bunch of tools and techniques and strategies that we provide them in order for them to be able to be successful in the classroom, because we don't want them to fail. We do truly want the teachers to be successful. The other thing that we do is we run a ton of prototypes, and one of the prototypes we run is with our mobile devices. So we've got the smartphones, we've got iPads, and what we do is allow teachers to be able to get those devices in the classroom along with the students and run. For the last 4 years, we've been running what is called a mobile device prototype. So there are about 40 teachers across the school that are actually participating in that prototype. And so there's data that's coming out. And a few departments and few grade levels have fully integrated the use of mobiles into their curriculum. When I say that our school is a one-to-one program, we are fully integrated with the technology. It's seamless integration. If any of you came to our conference, we host a conference once in 2 years. About a month back, we had our conference, and you would have had a chance to actually go into any classrooms. It was a normal school day, and actually see what that integration looks like, where we're actually using technology in the classroom, where students are fully, completely engaged. Again, kindergarten all the way to grade 12. All right, I think that sets a good enough context. Can you go to the PowerPoint? Would you be able to do that? Right. So my topic that I was given to talk on was seamless integration of technology in the classrooms. And for us, seamless integration requires us to have all 4 of those conditions in place all the time. Not one of those conditions one at a time, but all of them all the time. And it also requires us to monitor those conditions all the time. So those are very, very critical pieces. And again, if this was a longer conversation, I can go into details for each one. Leadership means that all stakeholders at every level are empowered to be facilitators in effecting change. So basically, you've got the principals, you've got classroom teachers, you've got coaches, and we've got about 10 technology coaches. The technology coaches, as part of their job, are doing this over and above their teaching responsibility. So it's not that there's an extra position that's been added. It's just an additional responsibility because they really want to be able to learn and grow that leadership position. It's part of that distributed leadership we talked about this morning. And these coaches, because people stay for 3 to 5 years in our school, move on from our school to other schools as tech coordinators. So tomorrow they could be a tech coordinator at another international school. The other piece that happens here is our student leadership. So our students take the lead in a number of different areas related to technology. And again, it's empowering the stakeholder piece. That's very, very important. The role of our tech directors who are responsible for the integration is to ensure that everybody's getting empowered. It's not to bring attention on themselves. All right, the attention has to be on the kids as well as the teachers. The teachers and kids. Usually people put the students at the center of everything. In our school, we put the students and the teachers at the center because we believe that the kids can use the technology, but our teachers are the ones who know how to use it effectively for teaching. And the responsible use of technology is a critical part of our program. The other piece is the curriculum and professional development. Now, we've got a tech integration curriculum. We also have a digital citizenship program. We've just written a couple of books on digital citizenship for every teacher so that they can use that as a resource in the classroom. We've also written a book which is actually a guidebook. As I said, literally every 3 years. Every year we have 10, 15 new teachers because that's the cycle that'll happen. Whenever they come in, that guidebook actually allows us to make sure we've got a common language. And that's critical in our environment to ensure that everybody's learning how to shift the pedagogy and what are the strategies that they can use. When you're using videos or you're using publishing software or you're using web design, what are the skills that the kids are learning and how do you integrate that? That's also all listed in the little handbook. We took that handbook and we created a parent version of it because our parents still have questions. And so we want to be able to, goes back to leadership, right? We want to go back to empowering the parents, but in order to empower them, they need to have some common language. We require every parent, and I'm going to actually start a book club now to make sure that they're reading it. We actually give a book to every parent. So we took that teacher handbook and we converted it into a parent handbook. So we created a parent version of it so that the language was similar. So as a parent, if your child is at home and they spend 3 hours putting together a video, do not send an email to the teacher and ask, why the hell was my kid, making a video for 3 hours instead of doing math homework or whatever. Instead, here are the 5 questions you should ask your child about that video, right? And here are the 5 questions you might want to ask your teacher about that. So it's literally educating the parents about the kinds of questions they need to be asking. And that has come in handy because we, like I said, our parents are there. Actually, some of them are there from 18 months to 3 years is the maximum time span that a child would stay. When they move to another school, they can take that guidance with them. So we probably are setting up some provocations for other schools, but I think it's great so that at least you don't have any misconceptions about technology and its integration. The other thing that we do a lot of is professional development. It's ongoing. There's no one size fits all. So you won't sit in a room like this and somebody is going to stand up here and do PD. It won't happen that way. We actually have very personalized PD plans for each individual in the school. So when you come in, there's a little form that you fill up. We get some information about you. And then we make you go through about 3 or 4 different types of PD. And then we individualize and provide a PD plan for you that may have, you may need certain pieces of Google Docs, or another person may need to understand how assessment works in the classroom. You might need to understand how classroom management, how do I manage classroom with 20 laptops in the classroom? How do I do that? How do I ensure that the kids are truly engaged in the classroom? So if we had a little more time, I would have shown you a couple of videos of what that looks like. Operations. So the 2 of the things we talked about, leadership, curriculum, and professional development, this is extremely important. So if you've got tech support, every school has tech support of some kind. But if that tech support is not responsive enough and not taking care of the teachers, again, remember, we put the teachers in the center of this. It's extremely important for tech support to be there when the teacher is using the technology. And if the tech support does not arrive for 20 minutes while I'm trying to set up that laptop, you've put me in a situation where I am not going to trust the technology. And I will never use it again. Or if I use it, I will be very skeptical. So for us, that has been one of the critical pieces, that the tech support has to be very responsive, has to come through very quickly, and make sure that they're meeting the teacher's needs, which also means that they're empowering the teachers. So if a teacher has an issue with their laptop or they don't understand something to do, they're not creating this mystery around it, they're actually demystifying it and making sure that the teacher can probably address some of those problems themselves, unless it's a major technical issue. This has been very critical. It takes tech support folks a long time to give up control. And part of the reason why is because there's a lack of security. They've got this insecurity about their jobs. And I actually have direct conversations with somebody about a few years back when I said, I'm not going to fire you if you do this, this, and this. I will fire you if you don't do these things. And the reason why I won't fire you is because if you can start training, teaching the teachers how to do this, that frees you up to do some higher level thinking about the work you're doing. Otherwise, everything you're doing is just auto mode. You're a manager, you're not a leader. So if you want to move to the next rung, which is to become a leader, I need you to empower the teachers. Now, if you don't want to do that, that's fine, you're fired. I'll get the next person who really wants to become a leader. So for us, that's been very critical, that the kind of people we hire are people who want to be leaders, who want to keep growing in that space. Infrastructure is very important. If my internet does not work, if your projectors don't work or your printers don't work, that's not a robust infrastructure. So just keep that in mind, that all of these four conditions have to happen simultaneously. So if I go back to this, you can't do one of these and wait for the others to happen. They have to happen simultaneously. So if you're ever writing, one of the things we do with the leadership piece is we have something called a strategic plan. And a strategic plan helps us set a direction for the school for the next 5 years. And in that direction, we'll always have a technology end result. And the technology end result may have something to do with technology, whether it's assessment, whether it's a different way of looking at PD, like Willie says, design think the PD, or we may relook at infrastructure. And by putting it in the strategic plan, we actually force the entire community to get behind it. And that's very, very important, because that gives us the direction to move in that space. And now we've truly completely integrated technology in the classrooms. Again, I could have said a lot more. If we had a little more time, could have shown you some videos of how the kids do each one of these. But these are literally the 4 pillars on which our program stands. Critical 4 pillars. And anybody who wants to ever integrate technology, they have to have these 4 pillars. If anybody tells you 1 or 2 of these will work, they are BSing. That's all I can say. Right. Yes, I did mention it, but in the curriculum piece, we follow the ISTE standards for students, teachers, and for admin. Those are the 3 sets of ISTE standards. ISTE is ISTE. If you go online, ISTE.org, they have those standards. It's the International Society for Technology in Education. These are US standards. I believe there's an equivalent of those under UNESCO, but I haven't seen those. Somebody from the Tata Foundation told me that there's an equivalent piece somewhere. But the ISTE standards allow us to make sure that we have standards under creativity, collaboration, and again, you're using technology for creativity. You're using technology to promote communication collaboration. You're using technology to promote critical thinking. You're using it to promote research and influency. So you literally are picking up the 21st century skills under which basket it falls. And those are important standards. If you go to ISTE.org, you're able to download those big standards. Any questions?
The face of it may look a bit unrelated, but actually it's deeply related. Sorry for being so straight, but I want to know, what is the price point at which you pick your teachers? What's the salary?
Our teachers come from overseas.
Right.
They're US nationals.
Yeah.
So it's a different structure altogether.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter to me what their price point is. I don't look at the price point when we do the training.
Would it be possible for you to give an indication?
I have no idea. You'll have to go and check with the administration of the
All
school.
right, thank you. That's fine.
I don't think that has anything to do with whether they can use technology or not. Doesn't matter. How is that related to what we're talking about?